There's a war going down in the legs. He's trying to survive long enough using his left hand to defend steps 2 and 3. He's trying to ward me off as long as possible while he battles and tries to pry open his leg. Because if he could escape this leg here and then he's out. So while I'm battling for the final 3 steps, I have to maintain control. I'm doing 2 things at once. He's doing 2 things at once. If he knows what he's doing in this position, he knows how to defend properly. He's trying to delay the final 3 steps as much as possible to free his leg. With his free leg here, he's going to be breaking it open. He's going to be trying everything. My defense is keeping my knees squeezed nice and tight, my legs nice and tight, rotating from a lockdown to a figure 4, squeezing the legs tight. He opens it up. He's able to pry it open with his free leg. We bring it back, we pummel through, constant battle down there. While I go through the 3 steps. The first of the 3 steps, he can't really stop. There is a window for him to pull his arm out, but as long as we do it as fast as we can and keep both hands on that wrist in control, he just has a split-second window to pull out. I do have a student who times it beautifully and does get out. So there is a little window when we go to step 1. Right here, I'm not as strong at controlling his arm as I am right here. So if he times it perfect, he can yank out and spin. Right there, yanks out and spins and goes. And then we lose him. So as we take our time in baseball bat control, we frustrate him, let him get tired. He's shaking, he's thrashing around. Once he decides to conserve some energy, that's when we attack. So 1 would be here. Now I'm driving my head to the mat, so if I didn't even have his wrist, I can still control his head or his arm with my head. But we add extra protection by keeping our hands on his wrist. We can do it with 1 arm here, which we'll have to eventually to get to step 2. But initially we could just hold on and control here. He might try to use this arm to hook my forearm here and just control here. Just control right there. He might try to pull that apart and control the arm. If he can control, now he can't do anything here. You got to be able to break free. Now, we're trying to crank his neck, so we need our arms over here. So, at this angle, it's hard to get my arm under his neck. So, it's easier to lift his body up and then swing my arm around and then place his body back down on my arm. That's the easiest thing to do. So with both hands on his wrist and with this lockdown and full force, I'm going to swing, whip up my lockdown and pull him on top of me. And from here, I'm going to lay him back down. He has no way to block my arm. If I didn't rock him, he could just block my arm right here. It's hard to get to step 2. It's a battle to get to step 2. My bad angle and his hand is in a position to defend. But if we rock him up and we have a solid hip control with our lockdown, we whip him up here. He appears to be in a safer spot here, but he really isn't. As long as I have this lockdown here, he's in no position to do anything offensively. Now he can't block this hand. He can't reach this hand. I swing it all the way around and I place it under his neck and I grab it. And if I stay here too long, he's going to peel that hand off my neck. So as soon as I rock him to 2, I show him 3, or else he's going to peel 2 off. So now he has to battle 3. Now here's the final battle. He's grabbing my wrist. So it turns into a Wing Chun match here. It's like Hapkido, Aikido, it's all that stuff you learn in your first year of karate. This is where it all pays off. He grabbing your wrist, you just swivel and turn on the inside. Now, he could win 50 battles here. All you need to do is win 1. You win 1, and you go from controlling his neck here nice and tight, just to control his upper body, so that he doesn't slip his arm out. He could limp arm out if it's not tight enough. So while we're battling for 3, I'm just clinching him here. But when we're ready to attack, this hand flares out, palm facing out, and I catch an S-grip right here. That's where the pressure is on his neck. If we just start pulling right here, it's not that much pressure. He's not gonna tap from this. Some people might. This is where the pressure is. So we're at baseball bat, settle him down, hang out here 15, 20, 30 seconds, a minute, frustrate him. That we quickly get to step 2, or step 1 rather. And then from 1, we rock him up, swing our left arm around, place him on 2 and show him 3. Now he's defending 3. We're battling here, this can take a while. He's gonna be grabbing. A lot of Wing Chun here. And then we finish at the end, remember? Controlling the neck here, nice and tight. Avoiding his limp arm, minimizing his limp arm, clinching. And then when we finally bust through, right here, that's the end. That's the twister. Now that we've gotten to the first goal in the twister, the first mission's accomplished. We got to baseball bat control. We either got there with the snatch or the bolt cutter or the iron palm. Now once we're at baseball bat control, you want to make sure and wear your opponent out in baseball bat control. He's going to be thrashing, he's going to be trying to explode out, and he's going to be trying to break that lockdown apart with his free leg. You must keep your knees squeezing tight together, keep that lockdown pumped, or you can just keep a figure 4 and keep your knees squeezing together at the whole time. While we're battling the final 3 steps after baseball bat, we have to maintain control of his legs here. He's going to be trying to slow down the final 3 steps as much as possible, giving him enough time to break that lockdown free and escape. Because once that leg control is gone, this twister is gone. So after we broke him down, we broke his spirits, broke his soul, calmed him down, weakened him a bit. Now we're ready to attack with the final 3 steps. The final 3 steps are 1, arm over the head, under the body. 2, control his neck. 3, put your hands together to crank. All right, but it's never that easy. Every step is a battle, except for the first step is not so much of a battle. The first step, he's not really battling, but I am leaving a window open when I bring the arm over my head where he can yank out right here. I'm not as powerful. Yank out and spin free. And he's gone. So that's why we like to wait. We like to time it perfectly. Because once my head is back against the ground, pinned to the ground, then he can't pull it out. Now we have total control of him here. That's step 1. Step 1 is hard for him to stop. Step 2, he can delay with his left hand, especially at this angle. It's hard for me to get around his neck, and he's got his left hand defending. It's going to be very, very hard to get this left hand under. Defend. You're going to be in a battle like this. It's just not a good angle. So the best thing to do is to use your lockdown, pick his body up, whip him up towards you, pull him on top of you. He feels a sense of freedom here, but as long as you have the lockdown still in it, he's really not going anywhere. Now I'm going to lay him back down. He can't block 2 anymore. Now he can't block 2. Now I'm controlling his neck. And the goal here is to make sure this is nice and tight, and we're prepping him for the final crank here. Now this is where the battle is going to be taking place. He's still going to be trying to break his legs free, so this whole time, from step 1 to step 2, you got to keep, you got to be hyper aware of your leg situation. You got to make sure your lockdown is super tight, or figure 4 with your leg squeezing. Now he's going to be trying to delay the gripping of your hands, so this turns into the Wing Chun battle here. He grabs to the outside, even with his thumb. We swing to the inside. It could take, he could win a bunch of, but he might be able to grab it and pin it down, and his grip strength is just too strong for you. And then he pulls out his arm. If we're too loose here, he can limp arm out of that, and then he spins free. So we must keep a clinch here on his neck. But once we get through, if you keep the grip here, this is not really going to tap him. You got to be able to keep the control here, but open up your grip to an S grip here for the finish. Most people won't tap here. Most people do tap here, but the ones that don't tap here, you have to give them DEFCON 4, which is a rear naked choke hold, or a figure 4 up here. Most people will tap to that. This gets most people. This pretty much gets the rest. But you only do that when the guy's resisting, all right? Be nice at first with the escort. This should be enough most of the time. All right, so one more time. We finally got to baseball back control. He can't get his grip together. He's in deep trouble. We got 1. We're gonna rock him to 2. And we gotta give him 3 before he has a chance to peel off 2. Because if we rock him back down and we just sit here, he's gonna peel 2 off. And then we gotta start all over. Then we're gonna rock him again. So when we lay him down, we're already showing him 3. If he tries to peel off 2 and 3's here, he's done. We can also grip him like this too. This, and if you don't like him, DEFCON 4. Now that we got to the first mission, which is baseball bat control, we wore him out. We're here for 15, 20, 30 seconds, even a minute, wear him out. He can't seem to pry this lockdown open. Now, there's an alternative path to the twister that's a little different than the final 3 steps. This is the Swedish twister, which was taught to me by one of my Swedish students in Sweden while I was teaching a seminar, who actually learned it from one of my American students. So it was a weird circle there, but very powerful, and it's high percentage, and I use this often. So the first step is the same step as the final 3 steps. Number 1, arm over the head. Now we're here, we're controlling him, and instead of rocking him to 2, we're gonna control his right wrist with our left hand and bring our right hand through the hoop that's created right here on the inside. We bring it through, all the way through. Now I'm gonna sit up and drag that wrist down to my hip. Switch hands. Now I'm controlling here. Now it's hard to tell from the camera, but there's a lot more pressure on the spine. He's twisting a lot more, and all the pressure that I'm putting on his right arm is really twisting this up. You can really do some damage here with elbows in MMA, but it just makes the twister a lot easier. Harder for him to defend. He just wants out here. I can finish it with 1 arm, and again, we can just crank it the traditional way.